All right. So week 9, crazy, we're already at week 9. We're gonna be talking about joins again. We're gonna do kind of like a little deeper dive to do a little bit more with joins than we did previously. Now, previously, I feel like I cover it a little bit more in depth probably than the material did. So you're probably a little leg up. Should be a little bit of a lighter week, hopefully, theoretically. So anyways, hopefully that's the case for everybody as you kind of go through this week. Hopefully you find that it's just a little bit lighter. That being said, I thought we would just run through the exercises. A lot of these aren't too difficult, so I thought we would just kind of nitpick a couple of these and we just kind of pick some of the more complex ones and do those because most of these concepts we should already be familiar with. I know we've already shown multiple table joins and that's their stuff. Like the first one, it just says, hey, write a query that has the customer names along with their total payments. So, anyways, it shows the customer table, it shows the payment table, and it says include all customers, even if they don't have a payment. But it wants you to get their total payments. So, let's just run through that one just for the sake of being thorough here. So let's see, let's grab, so we have customer, and then let's select payment. Sorry, I'm not doing a good example of being syntax correct here with all caps. Okay, so we have customer, we have payment. I'm going to kind of just put these up over here on the side so we can keep track. Now we know that when we want to join, we need to go from the foreign key to the primary key. So we're going to say, okay, select, like I usually do. I'm going to start with everything. We know we want all the customer, and I'm going to call that C. And since we want everything, whether or not it has a payment, we're going to do a left join because remember, we want everything on the left, which in this case is customer. We're going to left join payment P. And what I always like to do is start by just getting my data. So let's just get customer ID and customer ID. So I like to just kind of like start by just getting all the data that I need. So here's every customer and all their payments. And then from here, then we can do our aggregation. So if we take a look back over here, and we're going to move this way. So if we take a look back over here, what it wants us to do is it wants us to get the customer ID, the name. Let's see, it just says return each customer name along with their total payments. So let's just do that. Let's just get C dot first name, C dot last name, and then the total. Did it want their total payments or the total sum? We'll do both. We'll do both. So first, we're going to count the total number of payments. So I'm going to say count distinct payment ID. That'll give us the total number of payments. And then we're going to get the sum of P dot amount. Put our table name there. And then because now we're doing aggregation, we need to group it. And we're just going to use our whatever comes before the aggregation is kind of like our rule of thumb. So we're going to group by those two things. And there we go. So now we have all of the customers and all their payments, whether or not they actually had one. So that is number one. Let's see what number 2 is. All right. So it says reformulate it to use a right join instead of the left, but so the results are identical. I'm going to leave you guys to do this one. Remember, the difference between left and right is simply order of your tables. So in this case, you just need to change the order of these. Everything else can literally remain the same. In fact, you only need to change those 2 lines. All right, question 3. So this is where things start to get a little bit more fun. So this is kind of coming into the area of what I consider to be, what's the word? It just left me. Oh, data fabrication. So in this case, we're going to build data from thin air using some clever tricks, which is something that you'll actually find you do quite often. So it says devise a query that will generate the result set 1 through 100. And it says hint, use a cross join with at least 2 from clause subqueries. So we're going to skip number 2. So let's do number 3. So in this case, we want to just generate the numbers 1 through 100 by being clever, and we need at least 2 sub clauses essentially. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, which is going to be a basically just a list of numbers. So I'm going to do select 1, union all, select 2, union all, and we're going to just kind of do this over and over here. And we're going to do 10, or sorry, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then actually, you know what, we're going to leave that one just like that. We're going to come up here, and instead of starting with 1, we're going to start at 0. All right. So now this is one kind of query, and I'm going to call this as digit 1. We're going to call that digit 1. So now we should be able to run this, and we'll just get our list of 0 through 9. Perfect. That's what we want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to copy it. But first, I'm going to kind of start building my framework here. So I'm going to say select, because it kind of gives you a hint. You'll notice that it says, we use a cross join with at least 2 from queries. So subqueries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say select everything from, and then these are going to be my subqueries. So I'm going to start 1 here. And this is the first one. And I'm going to call this D1, let's call it D1. Let's take, and I'm just going to indent this just so it's a little easier to read here. So there's D1. And then, so let's make sure we can run this. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we are going to cross join the same thing. We're going to call it D2. Well, instead of D1, we're going to just call it digit. There we go. So now we're selecting everything, remember? So now if I run this, you'll notice that we get 2 sets of columns just duplicated as if we were joining every possible combination. So now what I'm going to do is instead of just selecting everything, I'm going to concat these 2 together. So I'm going to say, hey, up from, I want D1.digit and D2.digit. And let's just call it num. So now we have that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to order this. We can see it in order by 1. All right, so now if we take a look here, you'll notice that we have 0 through 99. So we're pretty dang close there. So then what we can do is we can just say +1. And the +1 will change it so it's recognized instead of as a string, it'll be an integer. And now you'll see that we get 1 through 100. Anyways, that is the cross join. You can see how we take two kind of simple things and we can generate a whole bunch, which is really nice if you ever need to like really quickly have just like a set of numbers. All right. This one's the same thing. It wants you to just change the right to a left. So same thing as question number 2. So we're not going to hit that one. All right, so this one says using the following query as your starting point, rewrite to use the query to use a right join and return the same result set minus the result set of an inner join without using set operators or subqueries. So let's talk about this one because this one seems kind of complicated at first, but let's just chat through it here because it's not as difficult as it seems. So this is number 5. Save the best for last here. So first of all, let's run this and see what we get. So basically we're getting all of the R, title R movies, basically, that start with RA. And it wants us to first change this to from a left to a right. So all I'm going to do is this. Nice and simple. Like I said, it's just order of operations, really. They're the same thing. It just depends on which one you want to write first. So you'll notice that we get the same list. The only difference is we just swap the two. Because now it's pulling from film from the right instead of film from the left. So yeah, just simple order of operations. And then what it wants us to do is it wants us to exclude the result set of an inner join without using, basically we're just using joins. So if we were to take this same thing here, and let's change this to an inner join. Let's get the rest of this here. We can run this, and basically it wants us to exclude these. So you can see that we have some here that have, nulls here, and that's kind of the key. So I like to show this just so you can kind of see the difference, because the inner join is going to give us everything that matches. And the left join, or in this case, a right join, is going to give us everything from the right. So film. And then if it happens to match, it'll include it, but it still includes everything. So if we wanted to exclude the results of the inner join, basically all we'd have to do is remove everything where inventory ID is not null. So in this case, really all we need to do is say, and I.inventory ID is null. Because if it's null, then we know that we've excluded everything that the inner join would. So in this case, we get just the ones that are null, which is really our original list minus the ones with inventory ID. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm not here getting anything, so I'm hoping that makes sense. Cool. Yeah, that's actually all I had. This one's kind of more of like an exercise in practicing with those left, right, the combination of left, right, inner. Kind of question 5 is specifically trying to tease out like, hey, explore that, what the differences are. So remember, as you're going through these, we're going to look at our SQL joins. If it helps pull this up, I do it all the time still, to be honest. This one is what I consider to be the most useful of them. because it kind of has like this example. Let's see if we can just get the picture here. Anyways, it's hard to see, but this one's the best one because what I like about it is it shows you like, oh, if I want, like for example, if we want this left join or a right join, right, and we want to exclude the results of the inner, we want this, right? This is what we want. So we want to minus the inner, which is the middle. So it actually tells you exactly what to do, which is pretty neat. So I've always really liked this graphic. I think it's a 100% the best cheat sheet you can have when it comes to joins. So highly recommend keeping that handy as you go through the exercises and quizzes. But yeah, if there's nothing else, that's all I have. So if anything comes up, let me know.